Dead by Daylight now has two completely different killers with the exact same name. Stranger Things Vecna and Dungeons Dragons Vecna. With both of them roaming around the fog, you have to make a choice. Pick wrong and you might end up stuck spending your time and money on a killer that's not that good. So today we're settling the score. We're throwing both of them into a 5-round bout to grade their cosmetics, Moris, perks, power, and overall fun factor. Stick around to the end because we're finally going to answer the age-old question. Which Vecna is better? In one corner we have Vecna. In the other corner, we have Vecna. So who is the ultimate killer? Round 1 is cosmetics, and although cosmetics have no effect on how you play, it is like a little bit psychological. For D&D Vecna, you get to pick between the regular skin with a pointy hat, or the regular skin with an even pointier hat. Okay. You don't get a lot of variety, and I'm not gonna lie, D&D Vecna's cosmetics kind of fall flat. But how do Stranger Things Vecna's cosmetics match up? Stranger Things Vecna also has 3 cosmetics to pick from. You have his base skin, the Scorn of the Upside Down skin, where he's kind of half human, half monster. And then you have Henry Creel, his human form. I think it's cool that you have 3 skins, and they're all like a progression of each other. And it's also cool that the Henry Creel skin is the first unlock of the premium rift that's going on right now. This round is probably the biggest blowout of the entire video because I don't think this one's even close. Round number 1 is gonna go to Stranger Things Vecna. You know, maybe they put more love into the more recent killers, but I really like the variety of skins that they gave us. With round number 1 in the books, we move on to round 2, which is Mori. For me, I look at a Mori like a finisher in Street Fighter. Like, if the Mori isn't good, sometimes you just leave games or end games feeling like a little bit unfulfilled. If I'm in a super sweaty match and I've been chasing down survivors and they've been flashlighting me, I want to inflict pain on a survivor at the end of the match. And Dungeons Dragons Vecna has a very unique Mori. He summons these skeletons that come and lift the survivor up and peel the skin off the survivor, turning them into a skeleton. You really don't see a lot of other Moris like this, and I would definitely say this is one of the more fulfilling Moris in the game. Now, Stranger Things Vecna also has a pretty solid Mori. It does seem like the newer the killer is, kind of the better Mori that Dead by Daylight gives them. And this one's super satisfying. You pick a survivor up, you just snap their limbs. It's like super crunchy. I love the sound effects that they have. And then when you kind of just toss them to the ground, it feels rewarding. I feel like both are good options, but as a P100 Sadako, it does feel a little bit too familiar. Like, I've done a Mori similar to this thousands of times on Sadako, and this kind of just feels like a slightly improved version of her Mori. So when it comes to round 2, the Mori, on the uniqueness alone, this round is going to the Dungeons Dragons Vecna. Round 3 is teachable perks, and this might be one of the most important rounds. Because when you're buying and leveling a killer, you want them to have good teachable perks. Even if you don't play the killer, you can use their perks on whoever. Like, I couldn't tell you the last time I played Artist, but she has some of the best teachable perks in the game. So starting with Dungeons Dragons Vecna, his first perk is Languid Touch, which causes survivors to become exhausted after they scare a crow. Survivors are always going to use exhaustion perks, so there's definitely some value in this perk, but it's definitely killer specific and very build specific. This is definitely not one of those perks you're going to be whipping out in every single build. Weave Attunement is probably his best perk. When an item becomes depleted, the survivor drops it, and then you're able to see the aura of anyone around that item. You used to be able to pair this up with Franklin's Demise to get people to drop their items, and it was like unlimited aura reading, and it was one of the strongest perks. I don't want to say in the game, but it was one of the strongest perks for a while. And then finally, Dark Arrogance. I always have to look up what this perk does, which is not a great sign. So basically, it increases the amount of time you're stunned by pallets or flashlights, but it allows you to vault faster. Not a great perk. Don't really see anyone running this one. But how does Stranger Things Vecna stack up against Dungeons Dragons Vecna? Stranger Things Vecna has Turn Back the Clock, which allows you to regress a generator without even kicking it. You do have to be able to see it though. This perk is really good, especially on killers like Dracula. You can do this in his bat form. And his next perk is super popular too, Hex Hive Mind. So this perk allows you to see the progress of generators. They become a darker red the closer they are to being finished. But it is a hex totem, so they can cleanse it. These two perks, Turn Back the Clock and Hive Mind, are some of the best perks that we've seen added to the game in recent memory. And his final perk, Secret Project, does have some value. It blocks generators after someone cleanses a totem, but the main thing is that it gives you undetectable when generators are blocked. So you can do kind of some fun builds with that, but I really don't like Secret Project a whole lot. I know I said Dungeons and Dragons Vecna had like 3 decent mediocre perks, but Stranger Things Vecna has like 2 really good perks, like 2 super solid perks, and then 1 that I would say is like mediocre or bad. So in round 3, teachable perks, the winner is Stranger Things Vecna. So after round 3, right now the score is 2 for Stranger Things Vecna, 1 for D&D Vecna, and we move on to round 4, which is killer power. Stranger Things Vecna really has a mixed bag of abilities. To my knowledge, he was the first killer to get this little wheel that you can kind of select which power you want to use. First, you have his fly, which is his form of map control, and it's pretty effective too because you can pick when you want to stop flying. So you can time it so you can hit someone right out of your fly. And then you have the mage hand, where you can use it to block pallets, so either survivors can't throw them or you can pick up a pallet, and this is obviously going to be very powerful. It used to be a little bit stronger and then it got nerfed, but having the ability to take away survivors' most powerful resource is going to be strong. Like, there's no way around that. The Flight of the Damned is okay. It's kind of a ranged attack. It's just super easy to dodge. Survivors can kind of just duck underneath it. It's almost used as a way to get survivors to crouch so you can catch up to them. And the last ability is the Dispelling Sphere. It's kind of just a way that you can see where survivors are on the map. You get Killer Instinct if the ball goes through a survivor, which pairs up very nicely with your fly ability, but overall, it's probably the worst of his 4 abilities. So one thing I think is super unique about Dungeons and Dragons Vecna is just his kit is so diverse. You have map control, you have kind of a ranged attack, you have an anti-loop, and you have some information with the Dispelling Sphere. But Stranger Things Vecna, on the other hand, has really one main power, but that power is hitting people through walls. Like, it can be super powerful and oppressive. You can just hit someone through a wall. You can't injure people right away, but when you pair it up with aura reading perks, all you have to do is hit your vine attack a few times. Being able to injure someone that you can't even see is always going to be powerful. But the longer he's been out now, I think there's definitely more counterplay. He does have a form of map control in his undergate, but it just isn't super effective. It's pretty easy to dodge. When comparing the 2 Vecnas, it's really hard because their powers are entirely different. D&D Vecna has a more well-rounded kit, while Stranger Things Vecna has a really strong attack, but maybe not as good of map control, and he can't get as much information. When it comes to Dungeons and Dragons Vecna and then Stranger Things Vecna, this round is gonna go to Dungeons and Dragons Vecna. This is super close. I think both have really strong power, but Dungeons and Dragons Vecna is proven. If we're in a game against sweaty survivors, I'll take the well-rounded toolkit of D&D Vecna over the potential ceiling of Stranger Things Vecna. So going into the final round, it's all tied up 2-2, and our final round is funness factor. This is probably the most important round because the reason I play Dead by Daylight is because I find it fun. And if you're gonna buy a killer or level up a killer, I want them to be fun. Dungeons and Dragons Vecna is pretty fun. Like I mentioned, he has a diverse kit, so there's a lot of different ways you can play. His add-ons also allow you to play in a variety of different ways. I do find myself getting a little frustrated playing him sometimes. And when it comes to like clippability and like trick shots, you really don't get a lot of that with D&D Vecna. But despite him being a super solid killer, I would definitely not say he's one of the more fun killers in the game. But Stranger Things Vecna, on the other hand, Stranger Things Vecna is great for getting clips. Some of the shots you'll hit with Stranger Things Vecna, like, honestly make you like go crazy. Like, I know I'm kind of content brained, but whenever I hit like a sick clip, it's just like, that's what I remember from the match. I could have 4 survivors leave and escape, and maybe I only got 1 hook, but if I hit an insane vine attack, I'm gonna be pretty pumped. Both killers are fun in some aspects, and both killers will make you rage in some aspects, but we do have to decide who's the ultimate killer. So at the end of the day, Stranger Things Vecna edged it out 3-2. These are two very good killers. I would probably recommend buying both of them. But at the end of the day, Stranger Things Vecna, I do think is more well-rounded. Just having those teachable perks is a huge win. And the ability to get those insane clips, I think kind of puts him over the edge. We had a community vote and Stranger Things Vecna won 4-1, which I don't really agree with. But both me and the community voted that D&D Vecna had a stronger power. And I think that is true just because he has such a diverse kit. But if you were to put him in like a ranking or a tier list, I feel like they would be right next to each other, which is crazy. Two killers, same name, two completely different powers. So there you have it. Stranger Things Vecna is the ultimate Vecna. And let me know if there's two other killers that you want to see paired up against each other, like who would win. Because I think the best killer in the game is